Welcome to the inaugural episode of Gridlife Love Letters, where we take the time to appreciate something we all enjoy and are passionate about. You can get this special episode on our regular Gridlife Digest channels across iTunes, Google Play, and YouTube. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So we mentioned a while back that we wanted to do a spoiler cast on Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Just life happened, so we haven't gotten to it yet. So we're going to start this inaugural episode of Gridlife Love Letters off with spoiler cast on Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. What did you guys think of it in general?
In general, I think it's one of the most fun Uncharted's I've played, for sure.
Yeah, structurally, it's
Might be
kind
better
of
than 4.
really.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
That's interesting. That's very interesting. You know, I really enjoyed the structure of it, how open it felt, at least for that middle section.
Oh yeah, the middle section, unseen in Uncharted.
Yeah, it felt really organic.
I thought it was really good. Obviously, some things are wrong with it, but they did really good for what they were trying to do. Where it became like a bigger thing than it was, because at first it was just going to be a DLC for Uncharted 4, but then it expanded to this expansion standalone game.
Yeah, it was going to be like a Left Behind sized, bite-sized little adventure.
For me, I thought it was the shortest but sweetest Uncharted, like it wasn't as long as the others, but I felt like because of that, it was sweeter,
Yeah, it didn't overstay its welcome at all.
It was like a little bit of chocolate instead of a whole chocolate bar. Like it was just enough. That's all I needed. And that was a good love letter to Uncharted. That's all I needed.
Yeah, it was short, but it felt like a normal Uncharted, despite its significant differences. Yeah,
exactly. Like I didn't even notice it was shorter. But it was, and it was nice.
It goes through the similar beats of the original, but yeah, it doesn't have as much padding. And I think the main series, they're about the right length as they need to be, but maybe they could have been cut down a little bit. I don't mind that they're as long as they are, but yeah, no, The Lost Legacy, it felt like a good epilogue to the series, even though 4's ending was so good, and I wouldn't have mind if that's where it all ended. But this, I'm really glad we got it. There are some people that said that this isn't where they would have liked Uncharted to have its end, but I thought you could easily not play this and still appreciate Uncharted. But for those who really love the series, this was a great send off.
Yeah,
even though it didn't have Drake.
And you have to remember though that it's like its own thing, because it's not about Nathan Drake and Elena.
Yeah, even though he is mentioned a couple times.
Yeah.
It's his own thing, but it's so tied into Uncharted 4. If you didn't play it, you kind of will be missing a lot of just context.
Yeah, no, you definitely shouldn't play this without at least Uncharted 4. I mean, you shouldn't play Uncharted 4 without the other three. A buddy of mine, he went into Uncharted 4 without playing the trilogy, and I was like, you are crazy. I begged him. I was like, the Nathan Drake collection, it's on sale. Play it. They're so good. He's like, no, I'll just look up the story online. I'm like, it's not just about the story. It's about the dynamics. It's about the set pieces. Missing out. So yeah, that's I tried so hard. But yeah, no, you need to play Uncharted 4 at least, especially with all the stuff with Sam and how Nadine and Sam interact. That, you don't get any of the context without 4. So yeah, it stands on its own in the sense that if you're a fan of Uncharted, you can appreciate it. Not necessarily you can jump in as your first Uncharted game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That being said, it's maybe up until the point where Sam got introduced, I felt like this could absolutely be anyone's first Uncharted. Just the way they introduce you to the mechanics and all the characters and stuff. Until Sam comes in and you're like, who's this guy? What's the relationship? I feel like you'd be totally fine having never played an Uncharted before.
That's a really good point, because yeah, Sam is really the connection with the trilogy. Because I mean, Chloe, you get more context with Chloe here than you ever really did. So really, it might be a good spot. Except if Sam weren't in here, and Nadine, you don't necessarily need to know what she was doing, because it does tell you how she was involved with her family's business or whatever.
Yeah,
so yeah, that's a really good point. Sam really is the only reason that you wouldn't be able to jump in, because yeah, it feels very much separated until that point. So yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
And then Sam and Nadine, they're exchanging, lines the whole time, basically about how Sam fucked him over. You
Yeah.
kind of would have to play 4 to get to know what happened. You have to know what happened in Uncharted 4 to get to know what they're talking about.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you have no
absolutely.
context.
Absolutely. I mean, and if you haven't played Uncharted 4 by now, like, come on, Matt. Christ.
Get on it.
He's getting on.
Get
he's
on
on it.
He's on. I know he's on it. He seems to be enjoying it, and I appreciate that. So that's why he's not on this one. He's played the other ones, but not 4 for some reason. I don't know why that's not a priority. But anyway,
He has a platinum in all of the other ones. So it was a 1 through 3, and then Golden
Golden
Abyss.
Abyss.
Like, come on.
But you didn't play
Get
Uncharted
on it.
4. It doesn't make any
It doesn't
sense.
make sense.
You're like, I'll get to it eventually. We're just giving you
Yep.
shit. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought the price point was right. Like, it felt like definitely worthy of its price. I would have even been fine with paying a little bit more just because of how high quality it was, despite its length.
It was
like-
40, right?
It was
Unless you bought
$40,
the
yeah.
season pass.
Then you got it for a
Yeah.
steal.
Yeah,
Right,
I got
Mac?
it for 20. I got it for 25 because I pre-ordered it, like 2 weeks
Jeez.
after I beat Uncharted 4.
Damn. And that was before it was announced to be a standalone game, right?
Yeah, it was way before.
Yeah.
I was just like, Left Behind was like amazing to me because it added a lot more to the Last of Us story and the characters. So I was like, okay, if they're doing the similar thing for Uncharted 4, hell yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to just buy it right away.
I
It's
thought
not
it
like
was.
it matters. to
I
me.
thought it was going to be Sam and Sully. Like when they're like, "Oh,
That's
we're
what
gonna-
everyone
we're
was
gonna,
thinking.
yeah, we're gonna do DLC." And it's like, well, the way that they left it off, like Sam was still wanting to be in this life, and Sully was, he's not gonna leave. Like he's gonna go until he's like just way too old. So yeah, no, that's what everyone expected, and I don't think anybody expected it to be Chloe and Nadine. Like that's such a weird dynamic, but it felt
Yeah, no
right in
way.
the end. Like they
It
really
yeah,
grew.
it was great.
Yeah, they grew into their own like back and forth, and I really liked that.
When they announced it, when was it? Was at E3?
Was it E3 or
Like-
PSX? I can't remember now.
PSX they did Last of Us. That's why I'm thinking it wouldn't be.
I think
No, it was
E3.
PSX.
It was PSX.
Yeah, and then they got
Yeah.
that cool showing at E3.
Okay.
That's
Oh yeah, so The Lost Legacy was announced at the PlayStation Experience event on December 4th, 2016, alongside its debut gameplay trailer.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, when
when
they went through the first mission.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they showed that, I was like, man, there's no way this is like a full game right here where you're playing as Chloe. And, they did it and they committed and it turned out as good as I expected it to and as good as I would want any spin-off of Uncharted to be.
Yeah,
So
like
what was your guys' favorite parts of that game? Like what was your favorite part for you? What made it a good game for you?
My favorite part of this game were the puzzles. Especially in like what was it, chapter 4, the open world part.
Uh-huh.
And specifically the axe puzzle. Man,
Yeah,
the
I was just
puzzles in
thinking
this
about that one.
game were probably my favorite of any Uncharted game.
Because
Like, I can't-
they were like
I
the least infuriating, I noticed.
Yeah.
In all the other Uncharted games, I've always had to fucking look up on YouTube, how do I get through this puzzle? Whereas in this one, it was more fun and enjoyable to get through. It wasn't too difficult. Like like you're talking about with the axes, you kind of just memorize the patterns. You mess up once or twice, but you get through it. Yeah, they were good.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun with the puzzles too.
Hmm.
They were fun.
yeah,
they were
there's
a good time.
there's a couple times where it got a little frustrating, but that's just that's the nature of puzzles. That's how you get satisfaction, by beating them.
Yeah.
My favorite part was that whole encounter. What's the main antagonist's name? I couldn't remember. I should have this.
Shoot, I did not write it down.
Dang it. But that whole fight with him where they climb up like the elephant statue and they meet him inside and they go down like there's like this whole action set piece with the car and like they're like, running from the machine gun fire, and then like they get through all that and then they just kind of like sit up there like exhausted and they're kind of like laughing, and like that's where their camaraderie like really hit its height for me.
Hmm.
When they're like fist fighting with the guy?
Like teaming up.
Or just the chase kind of on like the train, or
Yeah, because there were multiple
they fought
times where they
yeah.
like encountered him.
I'm going through like my memory, like when did all this happen?
I'm pretty sure is a part on the train, right? When they were all teaming up to beat him up. His name is Asav.
Yeah,
by
it's
the
just-
way.
Yeah.
Yeah, Asav. This is interesting, but I don't know. For me, he was kind of not that interesting of a character compared to the other.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. He just felt like, oh, just another standard Uncharted character. He was or bad guy. He's
Well-
kind of the same as what's his name from Uncharted 2.
Lazarevich?
Yeah, Lazarevich. He was kind of like on that same
No
level.
way.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Really? Okay. What made him okay or a good bad guy?
I mean, so he wasn't doing anything supernatural in this one, and that's kind of where 2 and 3 kind of turned the villain. I turned off with the villains, you know,
Really? But
because
that's
Lazarevich was,
that's Uncharted though.
yeah, it's Uncharted, but I got kind of tired at the end, you know. Maybe with I don't know, the supernatural stuff kind of got tired at the end of it. It was like, all right, they could have tied up the end of the game a little better.
He's just like that stereotypical, like bald, like thug, tough
He was-
guy.
he was-
Asav-
don't know.
I think for this game specifically, they were focusing a lot more on the dynamic of Chloe and Nadine, that Asav wasn't getting enough, lines in the game. And since it was a shorter game, you didn't really see him that much, so he didn't have like enough character development.
Yeah, you didn't see him much, and
But yeah, I still liked him overall. And I'm actually curious, I don't recall, but is he the only villain that didn't really care about the treasure? Because like, how he sold it off and he was just trying to get money to, do a terrorist attack. Like
That's a really
Yeah.
good point.
the
Yeah.
ones were just more about like getting the treasure and being all powerful, and he didn't really care. He was just like, he had this other plan behind
That's
the treasure.
that's why I think he's like a really good villain in the Uncharted series, because his plan was to, like keep the civil war going on in, I think it was India.
In the city,
Yeah.
yeah.
In India. Yeah.
Yeah, and like his intentions were pretty clear. Early on, he was like, okay, I'm like the head of this organization that's fighting the government, and or whichever way, I forget. And like it's like the story itself and his motivation is way bigger than any Uncharted story has been,
It feels more real.
Mhm.
because it's not about like personal gain or anything. His motive isn't personal.
Well, I mean, it kind of is
Yeah.
personal.
You know what I mean?
It's not like
Yeah.
he doesn't want to get rich, but no, it is definitely deeply personal.
So
He's
I think
trying to relate
that
to
kind
his
of
heritage.
makes him stand out in the Uncharted villain library, where okay, so yeah, supernatural stuff is kind of the Uncharted like signature, but I think the way they like differentiated this villain compared to other ones makes him stand out to me.
I don't know. It's just to me, it's not the same. I mean, yeah, it's different, but I would have liked the little supernatural twist. I know it's corny, but that's kind of a part of it. Like same with like Indiana Jones. There's always something supernatural going on in there. Where's
I
that
was
here?
definitely expecting it.
Did you not like Wraith then in Uncharted 4? Because to me, he's like the best villain, just because it was just about like just trying to prove the Drake brothers that he's better than them.
Yeah, I didn't really care for Rafe either. He was just,
Okay.
I don't know. I just don't like him. He wasn't that memorable. I mean, it was cool that he was trying to take out the Drake brothers and all that. But other than that, it's like, what are you doing here? I don't really like you. You're not cool.
Yeah, he wasn't my favorite either.
Who are your
but-
favorites?
I don't know. Maybe that's just a thing with Uncharted villains. Like, they really aren't the most memorable. It's really the main characters is what it's really about. Like
Yeah.
you don't go away from like Uncharted 4 thinking about Rafe too much. It's usually all you're thinking about. The adventures that Sam and Drake went through. the whole time, and like in Uncharted 4, it almost seemed like there for a moment, Sam Drake, he was the villain, because he was lying about, being barred up and all that, or something like that.
He should have
Yeah.
been the villain.
I think that would have been way more interesting if he was the villain.
That was the original
I
plan,
want to
right?
know what that. Yeah, I want to know more about the original story.
I mean, it's all aiming Henning's head, so we will never know. But yeah, that would have been interesting.
Buy Blood, Sweat, and Pixels to find out.
Yeah, I
more.
read the chapter. It's pretty cool.
Did it say anything about that?
I mean, they were just saying that Neil and Bruce didn't actually want to do Uncharted, but then they kind of had to take it over because it was like in development hell, and then they had their own plan for it, so like they had to just scrap everything.
Mm-hmm. It's sad.
Obviously, they're not going to go into like details, right?
Yeah.
But they did
And,
talk about how the difference is, like, they didn't want Nate to have a gun for the first half of the game and stuff like that.
There's
That would have
always
been really interesting.
there's already very little gunplay in 4 as it is.
Yeah, I think
Uh-huh.
that's what they were. Yeah, they were just, I don't know, keeping it like that.
So what did you guys think about the elephant scene?
That was great.
Where
Yeah, I liked it a lot.
Yeah,
Fair-
They like their animals over there at Naughty Dog.
I mean, their
Neil and Bruce, man, they love animals.
their studio name is Naughty Dog, so gotta continue that. But yeah, it was similar to the giraffe scene in The Last of Us. Like, it's just continuing that trend. So
So I like the elephant scene more than I like the giraffe scene.
really,
I
Well,
agree.
yeah.
I agree.
huh?
I love the giraffe
Is-
scene though. Still.
It's good when I think back about it, but when in the moment it didn't really hit me like, man, this, like, it didn't hit me like it did other people at the time.
I can kind of understand that because you don't really get to interact with a giraffe too much. Like, oh, you go up and pet it, right? Or do you even pet it? I don't know.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, they
Okay.
better.
Maybe Ellie pets it.
Yeah, okay. And then in Lost Legacy, you get to ride the fucking elephant, get to ride
After
him.
you rescue it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
after you
you say
rescue him, you go and grab the fruit for him and all that. Like, that was a good time. You get
Oh yeah.
it affects gameplay, whereas a giraffe really didn't. So I can see how it gets you more emotionally because it's getting to you mechanically instead of just from watching. But yeah, it was a good scene. I loved it.
And
But they also serve different purposes. Like, because in the giraffe scene, it was just like after Ellie killed David. So, like, I don't know, it's just like a calming, scene.
mhm.
But this one, it was like a transition to get you from one part of the map to another because you were just like riding it. So instead, it was like a new mechanic, basically.
Yeah, really
So
the only
that's how
similarity
I view it.
the only similarity is that
Yeah.
they're animals. Like that they are two very different scenes. But I really like the purpose that it served in Lost Legacy and that I don't know. It also kind of served as a moment of peace after all the craziness that had happened.
Yeah.
But not
Yeah, 'cause
not
that
quite
part of the game is crazy.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. Not quite to the traumatic extent of The Last of Us. Like the Ellie and David scene's like brutal as hell, but yeah. Similar purposes, but
Yeah, that
ultimately
wouldn't-
different.
That wouldn't fit in Uncharted, I don't think.
Not at all. Not at all.
No.
It'd be super jarring. It'd be like, what is happening?
Super dark and morbid scene of Uncharted.
Even
That
even
wouldn't
some
fly.
of some of the prison stuff in 4 like kind of like pushed the line a little bit. It's like this is really not real, but like a lot dirtier. If that makes sense.
Mhm.
Mhm.
But yeah, in terms of Lost Legacy, what were your guys' favorite set pieces? Like I mentioned the truck earlier, but like, did you feel like the train was as exciting as it wanted to be? Because like we got that before, but I don't know. How did you feel about the set pieces?
I liked it personally, the set piece where you're chasing after the train the whole time, where you get inside your Jeep, you just get it on and off the whole time, and you go and change where the train's gonna go. I don't know. I found that super exciting.
It was
to
awesome.
me. That wasn't
Yeah.
the most Uncharted ass moment in that Uncharted game. Like it was great. Just getting off, fucking shooting some guys, getting back on. It was a good time. I loved it.
Yeah,
And then Sam comes out of nowhere on his other Jeep.
Yeah.
And you're like,
how
you're
did
like,
you
Yeah,
"You're
what the
dead,
hell?"
man.
It kind of combined my two favorite set pieces in Uncharted, one being the train, the other two being like the convoy chases. I always love those so much. Just like hopping from car to car and onto trucks and stuff. Like I love that in all the games. Like from
Oh, yeah.
two, 3, and 4, all were great. So that was kind of like my ideal Uncharted moment. But I felt like I don't know. I had trouble grappling with some of the controls in that area. Like I don't know. I crashed the car a few too many times for my taste. It kind of like slowed the pacing down to a halt. That was more my fault because I suck at video games. But I really like the idea
The
of
first
it.
time for that section specifically, I like flew off the cliff and I died, and I was like, "Oh, I can't go there."
Oh shit!
Oh, I can't go.
Yeah,
Yeah, it looks really open until it isn't, and you're dead.
yeah,
Yeah, I felt like that moment. They're trying to basically try out open world in Lost Legacy. I felt like that whole part where you're going across the map, solving all the different puzzles and whatnot, finding different places.
Yeah,
I felt like they're crack at open world, which I kind of doubt that'll happen. Them making an open world game in concept.
I want to see them try it because I feel like this was definitely them dipping their toes into it. And they did a good job. Like it felt interesting. It was obviously beautiful. It was fun to traverse. But yeah, I don't know. Like Last of Us 2 is not gonna be open world or anything. But even though that would kind of be interesting, because it'd be good still. But I don't want that even then. But I feel like if they were to do a new IP, it'd be kind of interesting to see them go open world, just to bring their touch to it because they're so talented and they could probably push the genre forward in ways that we don't even know about yet.
I feel like Naughty Dog could take like a really lame, genre video game and make it awesome. Like I think they could take like first person shooters, it's a generic bro shooter, and turn that into something amazing.
I mean,
Like Naughty Dog is that talented; they could do anything.
I mean, just look what they
That would
did.
be so tough.
Look at what they did with even just the original Uncharted. It's like it's really, when you boil down to it, a basic third person shooter from that time. Like Gears of War was big still then, and they made it more than that. Even though when you do boil it down, like it's still at the end of the day a third person shooter with puzzle and platforming elements. Like that's the difference that real production value can bring. Like they can turn something tried and mediocre and make it incredible. Like I mean, there's a ton of zombie games. Look what they did with The Last of Us. Like,
yeah. It's with this storytelling. I think that's where Naughty Dog really is going to be able to transcend like the genre that they make their game in.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think it's really the story. It's more the characters. Because I remember hearing somewhere where we don't really remember the story of any video game. We more remember the characters. That's what sticks out to us.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, makes sense because like I can't really recall too many stories of video games. Go back and remember the whole thing like a movie. But you can always pick out the characters, like Victor Sullivan. You can rattle off so many lines of him. El Goddamn Dorado. It's just fucking. He's amazing.
You brought a hooker
Yeah.
to church.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then the parts in Uncharted Golden Abyss where I think the whole time he was saying like that's what she said on certain things that Nate was saying. I was like, oh, this is so goddamn perfect. I freaking love these characters. They're so great.
Yeah, no, the writing is very good. It's very witty. But yeah, besides a few like very notable exceptions in games, yeah, like the storytelling isn't what makes it great. Like that's what I was talking to my friend. I was like, when I was urging him to play the trilogy, it was like it's not about the plot. Like it's about the individual conversations and the dynamics that the characters have. And he's like, no, I'll just play the story. So yeah, it's like if Naughty Dog was to do something like you said, like a first person shooter, I would be interested in that because they would put their own like narrative spin on it, and they would create characters that are compelling. Like they have yet to really create dull characters. I mean, like there are the side characters in Uncharted. Some of them are hit and miss, but like for the main cast, like they could really knock it out of the park. So when they do decide to do something new, which they will, of course, probably after Last of Us 2, if they were to go into a non-third-person action direction, I'd love to see it personally.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have no idea what. Man, after Last of Us 2, it's just gonna be like mystery for years. Like, what's Naughty Dog?
Yeah, they're gonna go. They're gonna go in hiding.
Yeah,
Maybe they should go into hiding for a while and then just come out of nowhere and be like, announce a new game. Like, this is what we got, something amazing, and then blow everyone away.
And it's out.
you
now.
love Mario Party.
Oh, they finally make Uncharted. I don't know.
I don't know. I think that pissed a lot of people off.
I feel like that. I'm really surprised. I feel like that's something that PS3 era Sony would have done, like the PlayStation All Stars Sony. Like, I'm surprised that didn't happen ever. Like, not necessarily Naughty Dog making it, but like some other, like, outsource it to some other developer just because the name works. Like, it just having like Marlo like driving around and shit, like throwing like rocket launchers at each other and shit. It'd be a lot of fun.
I mean, I don't know. I think the
Tried
reason
with a couple of Carter games, cart games.
I think the reason why they never made those is just because how cheesy that would be.
Exactly,
to have.
but you can just roll with it. You can just like really embrace the cheese. Because yeah, it's super
Yeah.
stupid. It's such a stupid idea, but that's why it'd be great.
Because I'm just imagining, Uncharted characters being placed into, like Mario Kart, esque carts. It just doesn't work.
You wouldn't want that? I totally want that. Like, don't even like shrink them down. Like, don't even like chibyize them at all. Just like full size, like in-game models, full size people in little tiny go-karts, like shooting each other. It sounds awesome to me, at least in my head.
Like I can imagine them, like, I don't know, just driving in Jeeps and whatnot. Like, I can imagine that because it's kind of from their world. Like, I don't know, put a tank in there too.
Also, like
I
an
think that would
actual
work.
like racing game.
Yeah, well, I'm imagining what's it called?
Twisted Metal.
Yeah, Twisted Metal.
Ooh.
That's what I'm imagining basically.
Dude, I used to play that all the time.
That's an interesting idea. I love the idea of just them riding around in go-karts and like Shambhala.
Yeah, we all love that.
Oh yeah, we were talking about Lost Legacy.
Yes, we were.
So
Yeah. I was gonna say for the open world section, I
Yeah.
actually had like a lot of fun with that because I do obviously like that their games are linear. Other developers can make open world as long as they want. I don't really care. But specifically for Naughty Dog, I really like that they just do this third-person action linear experience.
more teams
That
need
said,
to do linear experiences. Like, people need to
I
chill out.
really enjoyed the open world section because I think the Indian like environment was the best
Hmm.
out of any Uncharted. I think like I just
Really?
loved that. It was awesome
It was really
in
cool.
my opinion.
I don't know if I'd give it the
And then-
number one, but yeah, no, it was.
And I don't know.
really cool.
Yeah, yeah. So I just really liked, being able to drive around, and it was all optional, of course. So I
Mhm.
did a couple, and I was like, should I just do all of them? And I was like, sure, why not? Like, this is fun. I'm really
Yeah, you
liking the
did.
different environments because each section was different too, which I thought was cool.
Yeah.
Like the different tokens were and whatever. I had a lot of fun with that. And then on top of that, the puzzles were fun in all those areas, so that just it felt rewarding.
I really liked the inclusion of like these suppressed weapons. Like, I'm a really big sucker for stealth games, and even though Uncharted 4 introducing like the ability to be stealthy, like adding the suppressed weapons on top of it really was satisfying. Like, just the silenced headshots that you could do. That's something I wish 4 had.
So were you playing stealthily the whole time?
It was a
Like,
mix.
as much as possible.
It was a mix. Like,
Okay.
if I had a suppressed weapon, I absolutely went stealthily. But man, that gunplay is so good. Like, I just wanted to get in fights ever so often. So even though I am a big stealth fan, like, I never really stuck to one play style. If that makes sense. I like to alternate.
Yeah, for me, I try and play stealthy for the beginning, and then eventually I get caught and just go
Oh,
guns
Rick Slaves.
blazing.
Yeah, everyone's gonna die now.
Exactly. It's time to go. Let's do this.
What difficulty did you guys play on? I played on normal. Yeah, normal.
Yeah, normal.
I played on normal. I'm gonna do it on the next hardest. I'm still going through the Nathan Drake collection right now, so that's once I finish that, I'll probably go and do Lost Legacy again on a higher difficulty. Probably the next one up.
Yeah, I played through it on normal also. They have a crushing difficulty, right?
Yeah.
The hardest one.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll give that a shot
Screw
eventually.
that.
Really? Have you never gotten through an Uncharted game on crushing?
Isn't
Ever?
that what Matooth is doing? Like straight up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
on
On,
Uncharted 4.
on his first
Jesus.
playthrough, like,
No.
are you crazy?
Well, he did that with all the Uncharted games. I don't know. That kind of pissed me off because he wasn't going for the experience. He was going for the platinum.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're doing it wrong.
Plat Matt not getting the good experience. Yeah, no, I would hate
Yeah,
to
it's
do it
like
on crushing
staying on
immediately.
brand.
There's some, yes, he's got to stay on brand. You know, there's a couple sequences that I could tell, like, man, this would suck on crushing. So I don't know, maybe I'll try it eventually. I don't know. I generally in action games go for the second to last difficulty, be that a normal or like a hard and then a very hard. So like kind of like second to last. So like for shooters, like for Call of Duty, I do like hardened or whatever it's called, or in Halo heroic as it is. But yeah, Uncharted, I've always just kind of been comfortable at normal because like I don't know, you feel like you can move around more and be a little bit more limber and have a little bit more fun. So yeah, no, I've always kind of stuck to normal. I kind of want to try crushing just to see.
Yeah, I mean, I've always started out with the Uncharted games by playing through normal, but then I'd go through on
Yeah.
crushing just to get that.
Because it's about like the story and the experience.
Yeah,
No,
I don't want
Because
that
I don't
messed up.
I don't want to get annoyed and like rage quit the game
because that'll
because
definitely
I
happen.
mean I love it so much, right?
Yeah, you don't want that. I mentioned it earlier, but I really loved the sequence where the Jeep with the machine gun was following you. Like when you're having to like swing around and jump.
Remember.
It's in the middle ish. Yeah, I really
Okay,
enjoyed that.
okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah.
Huh.
I wouldn't probably put it
Yeah, I
above the
guess-
train, but it was still a lot of fun.
I don't really know what
Yeah, I
my
had more
favorite
fun with
set
the train.
was. The train was cool, like going through it like all stealth mode. That's what I tried to do. But I don't know. It's just like it's not as good as the Uncharted 2 train, in my opinion.
I mean, I don't know if anything can beat that.
That's the ultimate train scene.
Even though I feel like playing through it feels way better on the PS4 version. Because I don't know, I was just fighting the gunplay that entire time when I played 2 at first. But it feels a lot better with the DualShock 4, so I might have to give it another shot. I'm almost there on this new playthrough, but the train's awesome. Like I didn't play it at the time, like when it came out, but I can only imagine how cool that was.
Man, young 12-year-old me had no idea what was going on.
What is happening?
You played that game at 12.
Game.
Damn.
12 or 13, I don't remember. Whenever it came out.
When did it
It's
come
a
out?
good age. 2009.
That's right.
Okay, so I was 13 probably.
Man, those games had quick turnaround. They kind of pumped those out.
Yeah, every other year there for a while.
It's really impressive.
Because they put out like 1 in 2007, 2 in 2009, 3 in 2011, and then
Four
Naughty Dog.
way later.
Yeah, and then they came out with Last of Us 2013, and then 2016 with fucking 4, and then next year Lost Legacy.
But then they also had The Last of Us in there.
That's true.
They made
Well, that's what I was saying.
They made
Yeah.
They made all those games before before Final Fantasy 15 came out. Like,
All of it.
good on them.
But they had 2 teams going on there.
Yeah,
So-
absolutely.
Because they
So
had Amy Hennig's team and then Neil Druckmann and all that. But yeah.
it was just announced recently that Bruce Straley left the studio
Yeah.
after just what I can imagine the grind of Uncharted 4 crunch was just maddening, I imagine.
Yeah. In the book Blood, Sweat, and Tears, it talks about
Pixels.
like the grind. That's like one of the main points of that chapter. And they said for Uncharted 4, Bruce Straley rented a new apartment closer to the studio so he wouldn't waste time commuting.
Oh shit.
Oh my god.
Every
Yeah, and then he would
minute
stay
counts.
till like 3 a.m. He would stay to the studio and he would just crunch so hard. And I read that and I was like, what the fuck?
It's so
Holy
it's
shit.
so unhealthy. Like next time you play like a big AAA game, like the people that made it busted their asses working on it. Like when people leave the industry, they're like, why
Yeah.
do they leave? They're like super successful. It's like because it's fucking hard. Like game development is
Yeah.
insane, especially at the AAA level. Like
I just wonder like how much they make. Like what's the average salary
not
for
enough.
someone like yeah, because with how much time he's putting into it, and I'm not even sure how he's paid. I'm sure it's probably salary and not hourly.
You know, it's
'cause
salary. It's like Amy Hennig talked about how she was paid salary, and she's just had just unimaginable hours. But she was
I'm
paid a
sure
flat
she's
rate,
putting at least. Sure she's putting at least 60 hours a week.
if not more.
Even that exactly. It's
Probably more.
just a ton of hours. Just can't imagine how much work that is. What they have to do. I don't envy them at all.
Yeah, it's like past the point of healthy. Like there was I know this. I'm gonna go off on a little tangent here, but there was a video that came out from this guy named Yang Ye about CD Projekt Red and about how like their crunch was so crazy that like people started developing like illnesses and like physical dysfunctions
Oh, God.
because of how just brutal the game dev is. And I want to say it was an interview with Amy Hennig, but where she specifically talked about like her hours and why she left. I'm trying to find it. I don't know if I will. If I do, I'll link it in the description. But it sounded crazy.
Yeah, it's most people's reason for leaving. Like top names, whenever they get interviewed, it's like, man, I just don't want to work on AAA games anymore because the crunch, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, especially like the pressure from publishers to like launch like as soon as physically possible. There was sorry, no.
Like, yeah, I can't imagine having Sony, execs just breathing down your neck, put this out,
Whereas
do it faster.
Uncharted.
Yeah.
That being said, in that book again, in that chapter, it talks about how they needed more time because you know how it was delayed. Uncharted 4 was delayed multiple times.
How many times was it after the end?
I'm not sure.
It went from 2015 to, I think it was March 2016, and then it got delayed again to May 2016.
That sounds right.
Yeah. But in that chapter, it said, it was like, I think it was Bruce was talking about it, and he said that they got a call from Sean Layden, and then since they are, Sony's golden boy, right? So
Yeah.
like, they have like a lot of leeway. So they were like, oh yeah, you can just have more time.
You can take as long as you
So,
want.
like,
We're gonna
yeah. Just because they are at the statue of that studio,
They're
they're just able to, get more time. But in general, yeah, just the way this.
And they said like the
But
Last of Us really came together like after the last delay that happened. Like those couple months like really saved the game. Or like it
So it
took
could've
the
been
game
like
from a
a-
good game to a great game.
So it could have been like an 8, if they
Yeah.
hadn't delayed it, but because they delayed it, it came out as like a 10 or really high number compared to what it could be. But yeah, bottom line, just give Naughty Dog as much time as they need to make a game.
Devs in general, like just be
Yeah,
patient.
any game, yeah. Because I'd rather wait and get a fantastic game, rather than get it like a year earlier and have it being an okay game. Like I'm willing to wait. The time will go by fast. Like it'll be fine.
Yeah, another example of like a big name leaving the industry that I was thinking of. So Rafael Colantonio from Arcane Studios left after like 20 years of working on it. He, especially on like the Dishonored series and Prey. But yeah, he left because also it was like, man, like this is so much work. Like you have to just do something else afterwards, especially after that long. But any final thoughts on The Lost Legacy?
Yes, I have a couple, I guess.
Go for it.
So I really liked how they talked about Chloe's history, and like you got to learn a lot more about her.
Yeah, even
Because before it was just kind of like, oh, she's just side character. She's kind of a player, and you don't really know what side she's on, you know.
yeah, that was kind of her allure.
And yeah, and now it's like you actually have like this emotional connection with her, a lot more. Well, me personally than I did before.
You know, I always liked
Yeah, I agree,
Chloe.
I agree.
I always liked Chloe, but this actually gave her a lot of needed depth, I feel.
Yeah, because in Uncharted 2, she just seemed like a bitch. But in this one, she gave you a reason to like her.
Yeah.
You got more insight behind her because she talked about her dad, right?
Yeah, and
Like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
that's pretty cliche, but it's still
the
it's better than
Tomb
nothing.
Raider.
Yeah, it's very
yeah,
Tomb
I
Raider.
know, but I feel like Chloe could be a better, what was it, Lara Croft than Lara Croft could be. I feel like if they replace Lara Croft with Chloe Fraser, it'd be a way better game, in
I'd be
my
down.
opinion.
I'd be down.
She's just what
I can see
just a
that.
much more interesting character.
Yeah, like I love the new Tomb Raider games. Like I think they're really great, and the performance of Lara Croft is really good. But yeah, the story is really nothing to write home about. I feel like this one, even though it was shorter, was executed better than Tomb Raider 2016 or 2013 was. Did you guys see the trailer for the Tomb Raider movie? Just
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
Yeah.
like
Jump cutty as
oh
fuck.
my gosh, it looks so bad. Like why can't they just make good video game movies? Damn it.
I
Anyway,
just can't.
Stop doing action games, you know.
stop doing action games. Like stop making movies about games that are already movies almost. Like it just, or just
Yeah.
make it original. Like it's clearly based off the reboot. Anyway, Uncharted.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I could totally see that. If they were to take it, make Chloe like the main character, which they're probably not going to do, but I'd be down. I'd be down for it if they did.
Or yeah, not even that. Just make Lara Croft's character more like Chloe Fraser.
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying. Like
And that-
reboot it again.
Well, not even that. Change up her character more. Just
Yeah, okay.
write her better.
The promotional materials for Rise of the Tomb Raider were really interesting. They like kind of hinted at her like having like PTSD and be like really like traumatized from like her whole experience, which was interesting. And then it didn't really happen in the game. That was an element that I was really looking forward to, and they never really executed upon. But
They really didn't. Which was a disappointment.
like that whole like in the cinematic trailer where she's like in like the therapist's office like shaking just because she's all fucked up because all the shit she saw and all the horrible injuries and all the just ridiculousness.
I'm glad they did that because in the reboot, she went from getting all sad over killing a deer to just slicing people's necks open, just shooting people in the head, and she was fine.
And that would fuck you
So
up.
like that. Exactly.
Yeah.
So they kind of put that context in there to be like, oh, okay, she's a normal human being, but then in the game they didn't do anything with it, which is disappointing.
It could have been so cool. Like that could have been such a cool story hook, but we're getting off all kinds of tangents today, but that's all good.
Yeah, it's all good.
When they first announced the Lost Legacy, like when they showed that first gameplay where it was very like the camera was very close and it almost looked more like The Last of Us a little bit, and then it kind of, I was expecting more of that, like a very, very linear, not a lot of action, just more like a visual experience. For them to blow it up to this open world, it really defied my personal expectations for it. Like I thought it was going to be more Left Behind, and then all this news came out about how it's a full, it's a standalone experience and there's open world. I'm like, this is really interesting. So I really like the direction they took with it, and I hope to see them kind of tackle this more in the future.
Yeah, I think it was just like a natural progression from 4 because 4 wasn't like open world or anything, but the interactions you had with enemies and stuff were pretty open to however you wanted to do it. Like I don't know if you could just totally avoid people like you could in Lost Legacy, but like you had the option to be stealthy or just go guns blazing or however you wanted to do it,
I think you had to take out the enemies, but you could do it stealthily, especially in the Madagascar part where it's like there's a lot of driving. It felt like really open.
Of.
Yeah, and I love the joke at the beginning where they make fun of like how like anywhere they went there's a box for them to push around for a ledge. They're like, we're just gonna not do this anymore, and then that doesn't happen again the whole game. Like this is so awesome. Oh god, it's so good.
Well, that was similar to the part in The Last of Us where I think it was Joel reaches down to get Ellie, and then it was this, there's like a pause in that moment, and I think that leads up to the giraffe scene or something like that. But yeah, it kind of like breaks the normal gameplay loop of all getting the box and pushing it, you know.
Or grab the ladder and push it
Yeah,
to the wall.
because you know it gets kind of stale. It's the same old, same old. You know.
I mean, that was one of the major complaints that they got for Uncharted 4 was that it was like way too much boxes and whatever.
Which I totally get.
So I guess they were just trying to make fun of it.
Yeah, like it happens like 3 times in the prologue, and then
Yeah.
like we're just not gonna do. Like I think Nadine is like, we're not doing this anymore. We gotta find a different way up.
Yeah, you like drop it down off a roof and it just crushes the floor beneath you. And,
Yeah.
let's not do that
Yeah.
anymore.
Oh god, so good.
But it's kind of cool, you know. Naughty Dog, they're realizing it's kind of stale, so they're kind of making fun of themselves before anyone else can.
Yeah, no, it was totally a joke of
Yeah.
themselves.
Yeah.
I had to
Good
bring
on
that
them.
up. I didn't have any notes, but I had to bring that up. That was one of my favorite parts, even though it was just a little quick thing.
Oh, and I kind of want to shout out to the ending, you know, where they're eating the pizza. That was a good time.
Yeah, the
then it's-
shawarma moment of Uncharted.
Oh yeah, that was pretty much the shawarma moment, and then that song "Borders" by MIA starts playing, and oh man, it just kind of hypes you up, even though it's the end.
Yeah, it was.
But
I was expecting to enjoy the credits as much as I did. I don't know, just like the note that it left off on, and then like that started playing, and like the art, like the little like cutesy art of Chloe and
Yeah.
Nadine. Like it was cool.
It was just a cutesy clip art, and that's all you needed. It was fun.
I really enjoyed the photo mode
Yeah.
in this game. Like I used it way too much like I did it in 4 too, but something about the environments in this one, like I really liked it, especially how Chloe would like take pictures with her phone and then like you could like scroll through them and
Yeah,
look
then
at
you're
them.
like, no, let me take a better one.
Yeah, so I have a lot of shots of her like taking the picture, but I'd like use photo mode as she was doing that to like frame my own picture around her taking a picture, if that makes sense. Because like she kind of she did that on most of like the really breathtaking environments. So I shout out to the photo mode in this game. It's still not as good as Horizon's, although they did implement some of the elements from Horizon, like being able to change the facial expression, even though she looked really weird at whenever you change the facial expression. It was like
Yeah, it
super
looked really
exaggerated. There's some funny photos online. Like you can just look on Twitter for like Lost Legacy screenshots, and you can see some really funny ones. I tried to do like actual well-framed photos, but people had a lot of fun making her look ridiculous.
Yeah, the photo mode was good. Once I realized you could do it in between or like during cutscenes too.
Oh yeah.
So I took a couple during cutscenes. I mean, which already looked pretty good, but like just a little added flair with the filter or whatever makes it look,
I like the vibrant filter a lot, even though it like makes it like an unrealistically like saturated color palette. Like I really, even before I use that one a lot. That's not how I wouldn't want the main game to look, but for a screenshot, I really liked the vibrant one, and also sometimes the black and whites. But color is really exaggerated in Uncharted. Like they really tried to make it pop wherever you went. So I feel like this is an instance where black and white wasn't applicable, except for the intro, just because of it's architectural and not nature. But might put one of my shots as the thumbnail for this. I don't know.
Oh, that would be perfect. Yeah, I have so many saved screenshots of that photo mode that like I never really got into it with any other game. Even Horizon, like I took a few and then I kind of just went on my way. But here, I would stop like at every major set piece, pretty much. I would take a picture of. Yeah, just to like remember what was going on and like admire it,
Yeah. I
Yeah.
my whole Twitter while I was playing Last Legacy was just me popping screenshots just so I could save them for my own use later. Because I had a bunch of shots from 4, but they were on an old hard drive, so I lost most of them except for the ones that I put online. So I mean, I'll try to find them because I had a couple cool ones that I'd like to share, but I don't know, we'll see. I'm trying to find. They're pretty far back now.
Can I end this Lost Legacy discussion on maybe a hot take, maybe not?
Go for
Sure.
it.
I have another thing
Okay.
to go. I don't know if you want to.
Go ahead
Brendan with a
first,
hot
I
take.
guess.
Okay, all right. I just want to say, of course, it's a Naughty Dog game, so it's gonna, be incredibly well done. But it was this game has so much polish, like I don't know. So many things caught me off guard just because like I wasn't expecting them to include like at the very beginning when you're in that little village, like buying the whatever you bought from that little girl, and she like shows you around that little market. I went off the path because you're supposed to go to like a truck or something, like
Yeah.
sneak around it.
Yeah.
I went off that to like just explore the environment, and she like grabbed my hand and pulled me away from it, like to kind of put me back on track of the story. And I'll be honest, like when she grabbed my hand, I kind of jumped, like, oh shit, what just happened? Because it was just so sudden. I wasn't expecting it to like for them to lead me to like through the story like that.
Instead of like an immersion breaking invisible wall, like you can't go this way, turn
Yeah.
back in just 5 seconds or you die.
Yeah, like instead of Chloe just walking into a door that doesn't open, it like they lead you away from all the immersion breaking elements of that's just part of a game.
Yeah, that reminds you that you're playing a game.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I did the exact same thing. Because going into that game, I wanted to make it last. It's the final Uncharted. I want to explore everything, and yeah, that same part got to me. No invisible wall. That kind of, even the invisible wall kind of became part of the story. Except it was that little girl. She was like, "No, don't go here."
Yeah, it was there, but it was like they didn't want you to see it, so they had you avoid it in different ways.
Yeah, that was really smart of them to do that.
And also, I don't know if in Uncharted 4 when you're doing stealth stuff with like and you have like a partner around, if they do stealth kills with you or for you, but I wasn't expecting Nadine to just like pull someone into the weeds and like kill them while I was sneaking around, so I didn't get caught. So that was cool.
It happened at like all the right moments for me, where it's like, oh shit,
Yeah.
this guy's gonna see me, and then Needy just like pops out and just like kills him. It's so good. I believe it did happen in 4, but it kind of I think forgot about it. And just real quick before you end, Max, I totally forgot that Uncharted just blatantly stole the only mechanic that separates Tomb Raider's climbing from Uncharted's, which is like the pick. So like jumping and then like pressing square to like grab into the wall. It's like it's so blatant, but I don't really care. But it's like, all right, guys, like.
I mean, they did it with 4.
It even looks the same. Yeah, no, I totally forgot about that. Like time removed. Like, and then I saw it again in Lost Legacy. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot they did that. But yeah, it's like it's so blatant. Like even like the texture on the wall looks the same, more or less. That's all I wanted to bring up.
Yeah.
Shout out to Orca.
All right, so I guess oh yeah, that was so random. I was like,
That was cool.
At first, because like the trailers, right? I try to avoid as many as possible.
They
So
spoiled
at first,
a lot.
I thought it was like on the helicopter. At first, I thought it was Azov, and then when Orca showed up, I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah,
I was so confused. It was so random.
it was the most random, and I hope it was a joke that they made him like the second villain of the game.
Yeah, he
really,
wasn't
like,
taken too
Orca-
seriously.
Yeah.
he was kind of there, and
No,
then he was done.
Destroyed that dude. All right, go ahead, Max.
Hot take.
So backstory, I guess. I kind of saw that Sam was going to be in the game through like a YouTube thumbnail, and I was like kind of annoyed about that. And then I tried to forget about it. And then when he came to the game, I was kind of surprised, but then kind of not, because I remember like the memory triggered that I saw it. And I was like, oh, cool. Let's see where this goes. And then as the game went along, the Nadine and banter was pretty cool. But in general, I didn't like his character in this game, because the way 4 set him up to be was like to be this, shy, kind of serious character, because the dynamic between him and his brother. But in this game, he was like all about jokes, and I did not like that at all, because that's not how we saw him in the previous game. So it's just kind of weird to me that he became like all jokey. And
But
I don't know. it tried way too hard, in my opinion, to force like this comedic relief that usually is provided by Nathan Drake and Sully.
I totally see what you're saying, but I feel like at the end of Uncharted 4, he was kind of lifted from a lot of the stress that was weighing him down in 4, so that maybe, he could kind of like let loose and be a little bit more charismatic and fun. But I totally see what you're saying in hindsight. But I feel like, yeah, he like wouldn't be as stressed because now he's part of like this world of adventure and treasure hunting, so he'd be a little bit more loose. But I don't know.
I mean, it makes sense that he would be kind of jokey because Nathan Drake wasn't around to fill that role, so he kind of had to jump in there and do it. And I really liked it.
I just feel like it was too
fun.
forced. Like, I feel like it was every line he was trying to say something corny.
Yeah, I can see that, but for me,
Yeah,
I enjoyed it. He was fun.
I'd have to go back. It didn't bother me too much, but I'm sure if I went back and like it would be like, yeah, you're right though.
Ignorance is bliss.
I don't know. It's
wasn't
just
bothered by
just
it.
because okay, I guess it's just me.
No, I could see how it would get annoying, but I just kind of felt like it was having Nathan Drake around like spiritually, just as like a side character.
Yeah, and I guess I just have to put my feelings aside because the game is different.
I mean, I still don't like Nadine.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I guess.
I liked her as an antagonist.
Yeah.
Even though I do like her dynamic with Chloe by the end, even though like they had that whole falling out, but by the end I like them together. I still don't necessarily care for her individually, if that makes sense. Yeah, like I don't mind her. Like people seem to like really not like her. I guess I don't feel as strongly about that as some people do, but she's definitely not my favorite Uncharted character.
I mean, it's kind of hard because she's like a strong, independent woman that's like taking over like a military role. Like you can't really write much about that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Like, what are you gonna,
She was raised to be all serious and like she led a militia and shit. Like she's not gonna be quippy.
That's what you totally see in the dynamic between them. Because Chloe always like makes these little jokes, and then Nadine's like, "Stop,"
Yeah,
and just
shut
like
up.
getting straight to the point. And that one scene where she's like picking the lock, and Nadine just straight up shatters the
Oh yeah,
glass
I love that.
to just open the door.
Love that.
It's just like she's so focused on like her goal or whatever, just get to the point. I don't know. There's not much left for like character development because that is her.
Yeah, so maybe just like if people that don't like her, like they just don't like her character, because like Laura Bailey like performs her great, like her performance is great. It's just her fundamentally as a character a lot of people don't like, which I understand.
Yeah, she was too much of a like dislikable character in the first one because she was an antagonist that I just couldn't. She was irredeemable to me. Like even with all her backstory and like her losing her militia to I guess Orca. I don't know.
It's just weird. It's so weird.
Yeah. Yeah, even though they try to like give her a backstory and everything, I just didn't really care for her because I disliked her so much from 4.
And like you're supposed to dislike her. Like she was a foil to the Drake brothers the whole time. It's like,
yeah, she's not a bad character because I felt the way they wanted me to feel about her from 4.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense.
It was just I couldn't turn around on that so quickly.
Yeah, no, I was on board with Sam. He was all reluctant, and then especially after she just bails on Chloe like halfway through, I'm like, she's a little hot-headed. Probably don't want to place all your cards on her, but it all worked out, of course.
To bring back Cutter.
I feel like there had to be a reason why, because like wasn't the whole reason that he wasn't in most of 3 was because of his Hobbit casting?
He was in the Hobbit?
Yeah, he was one of the dwarfs.
What the heck?
Oh, the character?
Yeah, that's what I read.
I mean,
actually.
the actor?
Yeah,
The actor.
the actor. Yeah.
So I feel like he's probably
That's why they had
busy
to kill
now.
him off.
They didn't kill.
They had to like break his leg, whatever. Didn't he break his leg?
Yeah. Oh, my leg. I can't go on anymore. Yeah.
That's why they had to.
That was a terrible impression.
Yeah, I remember that part.
Because he just jumped off, right, and broke his leg.
Yeah, it's like, what are you doing, you
that
idiot?
was the end of him.
Yeah.
I would have even loved it
He
for
was
this to
kind
have
of an
been.
idiot.
Yeah, no, he was, but he was cool though. I would have loved to have been, even if this wasn't 80 and like have this just be Chloe and Cutter. Like I feel like that would have made a lot of sense too.
Oh, that would have been great.
But my
'Cause
leg.
I felt like that. Yeah, that mashup of Chloe and Nadine was kind of odd. It's like these characters from 2 and 4, who you never thought would, have any contact with each other in the same game. But
Yeah.
and if Cutter had been in there, that would have been a totally different story.
Cutter shows up
Yeah.
instead of Sam. I kind of like that.
Yeah, I would have liked that too. Or I don't know, what if they had like a cameo from, like a flashback of Jeff the cameraman or something.
Something like that.
I don't know. Yeah, just something stupid.
The cameraman.
He'd be like he'd be like the Johnny in Metal Gear. Like he just shows up. I kind of wish he was that, like in every game, like he's just like a cameo somewhere. You know, well, no, because if it was Cutter instead of Sam, then you wouldn't get that like beating heads between Sam and Nadine. So maybe that wouldn't be as effective for the story. But I'd still like to see him. I wish we saw him at some point after 3, either in 4 proper or in this somehow. But if they couldn't find a way to fit him in smartly, then maybe not a good idea. I don't know. I miss Cutter.
Yeah,
I miss Cutter though.
Me too. I love that guy.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't say I would change anything about Lost Legacy because I couldn't justify like who I would put instead of Nadine, But yeah, I'd leave it the way it was. It was perfect.
Yeah, it's like even like I'm trying to like think of ways to change it, but to change the things I
think
didn't
that
necessarily like. But
the intro.
what about
For
it?
some reason, like I don't know, because Uncharted, is the beginning of every Uncharted game is like this big action thingy. Like the first game, you're on the boat and then you just start shooting guys. The second game, you're hanging off a train. The third game, aren't you like in a bar and you're like brawling people?
Yeah. Oh, it got so
yeah.
good.
And the fourth game, you're on a boat and then it transitions into the
The flashback.
prison fight thing.
It uses
So
flashbacks so well throughout the series.
And so, like, going in, I was like, what are they gonna like? I really like Naughty Dog intros. Like, the Last of Us intro is really cool too.
Oh, it's one of the best intros of all time. Period.
Yeah, and then so like going into this, I was like, oh, let's see what they're gonna do, and then it was just kind of like slow, and they didn't have a dedicated, like credits screen in the beginning.
Yeah.
Like a title screen. It was just kind of like going while you were in the marketplace. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of weird because Uncharted games before had been so, action packed, kind of fast in the beginning, and this year kind of just going through the marketplace.
Well, I get
But
I get why they changed it up like that. They're separating it. It's not Nathan Drake. It's not like the core Uncharted team. It's not a core Uncharted story.
Mhm.
Trying to be different. Yeah.
Yeah. They kind of start out with heavy emphasis on stealth. So that's kind of why I played it more stealthily, is because the way you start, it's all sneaking around. So I was like, well, let me play it the way I wouldn't play a normal Uncharted.
Just bombastic.
that makes sense.
It makes sense. I think like Tim Geddes from Kind of Funny said, like he thinks like it was a really good middle of an Uncharted game. I feel like it was probably a really good like last 2/3 of Uncharted game. Maybe it could have had a little bit better introduction, like not even that much more, just kind of something a little bit more to set it up and then lead it into her in the shop. But I don't know. I liked how you're getting like pieces of the situation as it went also. So I don't know if I'd necessarily change it, even though it could be interesting if it was changed. It's another thing where it's like I don't know if it's how I would do it, but I don't also know if I would change it because it worked out.
Yeah, like we want to say we can change it, but we're not game devs, so we don't know how that would pan out in the end.
Yeah, exactly.
You
I'm sure
can
they
say
had,
all day.
I'm sure they had
I want to change this, that, and the other thing.
tons of different ways
not
that it was
gonna
going to start out, and they landed on this one as the best way. So I'll trust them on that.
Yeah, they know what they're doing. They made a game or two on their day.
Just a couple.
Cool.
Just a
couple-
couple.
10 out of 10s.
Couple indie
Yeah,
gems.
that's it. They're a little, not that well known.
Just don't bring Jack and Daxter back. Like
Please don't.
they've gotten so much better than that. I'm sorry, Emma.
Well, I mean, they did if you pre-ordered Lost Legacy.
That's very true. That's also another good incentive
But
to
the-
pre-order. I haven't played it yet, but because
Neither have I.
No, I'm not downloading that.
I totally forgot I had it. Honestly, like I redeemed the code and then I just kind of left it there. But I don't know. Maybe one day. I wish it was all three of them because the Vita version does suck, and I'd like to play
It
those,
does.
but I don't know. Are 2 and 3 available on PS4? You just got one.
I think so. Yeah.
Okay, so maybe I'll have to check them out because I still don't think I've played through them all. Just because I don't know, they've never really spoken to me the same way that like Ratchet has. But anyway, any final thoughts for the Lost Legacy in particular before we move on to the grander series?
I think I hit everything from my notes.
Yeah, same here.
Perfect. In that case, we'll move on. So now we're gonna do just kind of like a appreciation / retrospective of Uncharted as a whole, and kind of just talked about our favorite moments, favorite characters, just kind of really broad strokes. We don't have to go like too specific, but just kind of. So let me see. I was gonna start out on, like I said earlier, for this. So what is your favorites order for the game, for the series? Excuse me.
So I'll start because I might have a hot take here,
Okay.
Oh, boy.
knowing you guys.
Here we go.
So first off, I haven't played Uncharted 1 or Golden Abyss.
What?
Uh,
You can't have a list then. Just kidding.
so I mean, I'm sure they'd be at the bottom anyway, but whatever.
One is still
Damn.
good. One is
so I-
still good. It's just not up there with the
As good.
rest. Yeah.
Mhm.
I'll play it one day. I'll get that collection.
The collection's fantastic. Like that's the best way to play it. It fixed a lot of the issues.
Yep. Smooth frame rate, but fixed gameplay, everything.
No motion control
So-
grenades.
No. Thank God.
Okay.
Thank God.
Yeah. Please no motion control anymore.
Got to sell that 6
Unless it's
axis.
VR. Give me that. Give me that Uncharted VR.
That paperweight controller.
Anyway, so I gotta put Uncharted 4, probably my least favorite.
Really? That's
that I
interesting.
played.
Wow.
Not that it was
Interesting.
bad. It's not bad or anything. It was fun, and you know, it looks great on PS4, and I love it on that in that sense. But it just the story was just so long. It overstayed its welcome way too long, and I feel like there's an extra 5 chapters in any normal Uncharted that I like 2 and 3. I mean, I could be wrong, but it just felt so much longer.
Well, it is like another 3 hours longer
Yeah.
than I think 2 or 3.
Yeah, I didn't really like that so much. The gameplay was good though. It was fun. Again, it's not a bad game. Then I gotta go Lost Legacy
Ooh, okay. Oh, for least. Okay, I see where you're going.
for above 4.
Okay.
Just because it was, it's not a core Uncharted game. Nothing wrong with that, but I like my Nathan Drake. And there's a few gameplay like issues that I had with 4. Like there's so much rope stuff. I got tired of it pretty fast.
I
Too much
love
rope
I
stuff.
love the rope, but I'll wait to give that later.
Yeah, hot takes here. But yeah, it was still pretty good. I like the open world part, and I love that you get rewarded for exploring that open world. Then I gotta go 3.
Hell yeah.
It was just more Uncharted 2. Gameplay wise, it improved gameplay a little bit,
It did.
and the story was actually pretty good. I don't remember much about the end, like what happened to Marlowe. I don't remember. And that one magic dude just disappeared, and you don't really get that explained. Yeah, that guy. But the journey with it was like a Drake and Sully centered game and story, and I really like that. They really got me with faking out Sully's death.
Oh man, yeah. It gets
I was
me every
pretty
time.
pissed.
Again.
Sully's my favorite character.
Yep.
Just saying. And then number 1 is Uncharted 2. Just because it was my first Uncharted, and I mean, not just because of that, but the way it opens with the train in the snow and you're dying and you're just hanging there.
Incredible stuff. Just awesome.
So good. Nothing opens that way that just gets you hooked into a game like that.
From like the first second.
Yeah,
You're just like, what the fuck is happening?
The first thing you do is escape this train that's hanging off a cliff while you have bullet holes in you, and take out some goons that are coming at you while you're still just dying in the snow. And
Man, chills.
Yeah, the set pieces in that game just are unbeatable, I think, in the series.
Yeah. Can I go next?
Go for it.
Go
Okay.
for it.
So I'll do it in the same order as Eli since we're going that way. So I guess we're going right back into the same game. Uncharted 2. That's my least favorite Uncharted game.
Now that's a hot take.
Wow.
Yeah, it is a hot take, but
And you played Golden Abyss.
yeah, I did play Gold. Well, you didn't play Golden Abyss, so you can't say anything. I played all of them, so I'm allowed to have that opinion. Well, anyways, Uncharted 2 is my least favorite because it felt like it was Uncharted 1. I felt like it was kind of the same environment.
See, that's what I do not understand. I do not remember the Himalayas in Uncharted 1. I do not remember the train in
I
Uncharted
remember.
1.
I just remember lots of green. There was lots of green.
There was like 2 chapters in the forest.
And then, okay, maybe, but that's what stuck out.
The only part that he was in the forest was when he was with Sully, and then it was over. And then Sully's like, "I'm out," and then it's like completely different.
And then back to Lazarevich, he was a sucky character.
What about the blue sap?
Like that blue sap.
The enemies do suck.
I mean, I kind of like the blue sap just because that's just Uncharted to pull out the supernatural.
Cheesy, pulpy, Uncharted.
But I don't know. It was just my least favorite. Probably because it was like the last one I played because it was like in a Christmas break. I played through 1 through 3, and I played it in a fucked up order. I played like 3, then 1, then 2. So by then I was kind of like burnt out on Uncharted. So that could be part of it.
You need to replay it because it is nothing like 1.
I do. I need to go back and replay it. So I mean that's what my order for right now. I mean I haven't gone through it, but it's at the bottom, and
all right,
it'll probably change once I go through it again and appreciate it. Okay, so my next one is part 1. I don't know. It's the first Uncharted game. It's not the most special game in the world, but it's where it all started. I had a lot of fun with it.
You see, his jeans got wet when he swam.
His jeans got real wet all the time. Yeah, and it was a good game for the most part, except for the motion controls and just kind of how janky it felt at times with the gunplay.
Most gunplay heavy one for sure.
Yeah, I felt like that's kind of all that game was. It was trying to be Gears of War, but not really. But yeah, it was okay. It was fun. So my next one was Golden Abyss, and so I was just looking up how many chapters are in that game, and there are 34 chapters in that game, and I think that makes it the longest one. I mean, chapters wise, because I don't know if
they're really short.
That's true. They're kind of short, but I like that game a lot. It did something different. It kind of played with all the Vita gimmicks. Well, I mean, it was kind of stupid. Just pointing your Vita at like a light to try and see everything, and it was kind of dumb. If you're on an airplane doing that, it's like what the hell is he doing? And then like revving out the charcoal parts or just etchings and all that was cool.
I hate that shit.
And then I don't know, I'm gonna spoil a little bit of the ending with the final boss fight. If you play that on crushing, because it's basically like swiping the whole time, so if you mess up once in any part of that, you have to start the whole boss fight over again. And that just infuriated me. I hated that so much. But yeah, that game. And then I think there was a bunch of collectibles in that game too.
There was a lot.
which was kind of overwhelming. That's why I never went back and tried to get the platinum, because it just seemed like there's too much to do. And yeah, that's my thoughts on Golden Abyss. But it was also nice because I was like a portable Uncharted. It's like, oh, I can take this AAA experience anywhere. That's kind of what that hook was for me. And next was Lost Legacy. Yeah, we just spent an hour talking about it. It was a good game. I liked it. All the different characters. It was fun. Sam, yeah, elephants. That's how I describe that game.
Elephants.
Yeah.
Uncharted elephants.
Uncharted elephants. That's all you need to know. Okay, next is Uncharted 4. Oh man, that game is just something else. Just from the beginning, starting out, fucking playing Crash, like, just set the whole game. Like, this is cool, and then you get everything all wrapped up in a nice little bow. Get it all wrapped up nice, and then like the ending was also a nice homage to what could happen, which is I don't know if I'd want a young what was her name, Nathan's daughter. I don't know, but I don't know if I don't know what her name was, but yeah, I don't know if I'd want her to have her own game, but that would be interesting if they decided to do that.
Cassie Drake.
And my all-time favorite is Uncharted 3. Like, this is undoubtedly my favorite game of all time. So the way I got introduced to this game was I was going through Walmart, kind of, I don't know, just looking at the games, and they had a PS3 on display. You could play, and they had the chateau scene of Uncharted 3 up there, and I was like, oh, what is this? And then I go up and start playing it, and then towards the end of that, when you're running off the chateau and jumping as it's crumbling, I was like, oh my god, this is so fucking awesome.
What is this?
Yeah, like, I need a PS3 and Uncharted 3 like right now.
Give it to me right now.
Yeah, exactly. So the rest of that summer, I worked for my dad roofing. I saved up like $300, and I went out and bought a PS3 and Uncharted 3. It was like the first day of school that I went out and bought it, like the worst timing. But I went out and I was like, I gotta fucking have this game, and I was blown away. Oh man, that game is so great. Just all the different environments, like the chateau, fucking there's, and then the desert parts, and then you get to be on an airplane and jump off, and then you're also get to be in a boat and run around and kill
My
people.
favorite part is the boat of Uncharted 3.
The boat was fun. It was a good time.
When you're underwater and like swinging from the chandelier next to that like giant glass part that's like underwater, you had to shoot the glass so you can swim out. Man,
Yeah,
man,
yeah, it's something else. And then when you're in the boat and it's all tipped over and stuff, it's kind of like some Inception shit. It's like, hell yeah, I can totally dig this. But the funny thing with that game was when I got it, my mom was like, "Oh, that's too violent. I'm gonna make you return it." Oh man, I was so mad.
I saved up $300 for this
just
game.
to play this fucking game, and you tell me I can't play it. And then so basically what I did was like I almost like I had to go and like come up with like a presentation, pretty much, like tell her the reasons why I wanted to keep this game and everything. And so like every argument she came up with, I had like a counter argument,
You came prepared.
Like, exactly. So she's like, "Oh, it's gonna make you violent," but I was like, "No, I'm a mature high schooler. I know I'm not gonna go and punch my little brother after playing this game. It's just not gonna happen."
Some parents just don't understand pulpy, tongue-in-cheek action. Apparently, there's nothing serious about it.
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Just parents just don't understand.
That's true. But and then my mom was like, "Oh, as long as you promise not to curse when you're playing this game or after it," I don't know, because she thought I was gonna start cursing like a sailor. I mean, which I did, but but exactly. What's the worst case say like, "Ah, crap, oh shit." That's about it.
Lots of goddammits in there.
Yeah, lots of goddammits. But I
They
mean, I
push
hear
the
worse
teen
from my
rating.
dad, so I don't see why.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 is my all-time favorite. Undoubtedly, all my favorite game of all time. Just love it to heck.
Love it to heck, and the agreement's still in place to this day,
Yep.
apparently.
Hmm.
Do you want to go next, Max, or shall I? Or does it matter?
I can go.
Okay.
So I've played every single one except Golden Abyss.
Because you hate
So
the Vita.
Gonna go from. Sure, let's go with that. So least favorite is Uncharted 1. You know, it did its job setting up the story and everything and the characters. But I played it late to the party, so I played it on the collection. And, you know, if you're playing a game from 2007, you know, in like 2015, you're like, oh, okay. But like the story and everything was great. But the gameplay wasn't that good, especially the platforming. That's like one of the biggest improvements you see throughout each Uncharted game.
Especially from 1 to 2. It's a huge gap.
Yeah, especially from 1 to 2. And then my is number 2 intro for any
Wow.
Uncharted game.
Hmm.
But I didn't really like the villain. He was kind of crazy with the whole blue shit and the OP monkey thingies that were like impossible to
Yeah,
kill.
fuck those guys.
They were so annoying.
They just
Holy
make
shit,
you
I would like
RPG.
rage because like they would just bullet sponge everything, and I was like, okay, this is kind of annoying. And besides the train, I don't really remember any set piece from 2, whereas from 3, which is my next least favorite. All right, actually, I guess Lost Legacy is in between 2 and 3.
Hmm.
Okay.
Just dynamic, everything. I you know, we just talked about that. But then it's 3, and I think 3 has like better set pieces. They changed the gameplay enough. The story, like, I don't know, I just really like the Nathan Drake and Elena story, and it was kind of like wishy-washy where they are, you know, like with the ring and everything. And I like that the set pieces were more memorable, but I don't like some of the story is like so disconjointed. Like, I don't know, the way he ends up on the boat is super random, and I don't really remember what happens to Marlowe. But overall, I think I liked it more than I did 2, so that's why it's higher on my list. And my favorite one is Uncharted 4. Just straight up the best character development. Like, you have to play the first 3 to fully get the experience of 4. And if you do play all of them, it's so much more worth it. And I love how like the whole pirate story and everything, that's really cool. And how it's like a foil to Nathan Drake's life and everything. It's really cool. And how the ending, the epilogue was just amazing. And of course, the shout out to old school Naughty Dog with Crash Bandicoot.
Hell yeah.
Fantastic.
Okay.
All right, I shall go through mine. My least favorite Uncharted game is Golden Abyss. It's a fun game, especially for the Vita, but it is everything that is wrong with the Vita, especially early on, where it shoves all like this, like the swiping shit and all like the gimmicks in it. Like, it's just not fun to me. Like the picking locks and the rubbing away thing. Like, it's a cool idea, but it's not something I want to do necessarily. Next.
Don't say it.
What? Don't say what?
If you say Uncharted 2.
No. My next is Uncharted 1. It's a fine game. I enjoy it, especially on the Nathan Drake collection. I think that fixes most of the issues, especially with the gameplay. It's very combat heavy. A lot of good. The writing's great. A lot of good, back and forth. But overall, not my favorite. I'd still go back and play it, especially now it's on PS4. So next one, Lost Legacy. We talked about it ad nauseum. I really enjoyed it. Can't put it in the top tier though, as good as it is.
Just can't.
The next one, here's where it gets contentious. My next one is Uncharted 2. I love Uncharted 2. It is a great game. That intro is fantastic. The set pieces are fantastic. But the entire time, I was wrestling with the mechanics. And when a game doesn't have good mechanics, it makes it a chore to go through. And they aren't bad. It also, admittedly, like I've said on our main show before, like I have massive hands. So the DualShock 3 wasn't quite applicable for me. So it made it really difficult to play initially. Like the train especially took me a long time just wrestling with the gunplay. It's a great game. The blue sap's stupid. I hate the monkey enemies. Shambhala is beautiful though. Lazarevich, I mean he's a villain. Like they're all pulpy villains. Like it's nothing crazy. But then the ending is kind of like where are they, and I don't know. Are they together or are they not? I don't like how Sully just like bails out in the middle. He's like, yeah, you guys can handle this. See you later. Because I love Sully too. Overall, great game.
He comes back.
He does come back. He comes back after all the shit went down. He's like, what have you guys been doing? Which is funny. But you know, that is how I feel about Uncharted 2. It's still fantastic. Like we're comparing like 9s and 10s here. So my next is Uncharted 3. I absolutely adore Uncharted 3. It fixed a lot of the mechanical issues. I loved the different scenarios and the set pieces. The introduction's really cool. It's not as good as 2, but like the whole bar fight, it felt really visceral. You know, them like
and then the part where
they're faking their deaths.
The Easter egg. The Easter egg for The Last of Us is also in that bar scene.
Yeah,
if you look for it.
Yeah, if you look for it.
So
I don't necessarily think
makes
they're
it
in the
special,
same.
too.
I don't necessarily think they're in the same universe, but it's cool that they're they were cooking their ideas a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
The whole desert sequence from the plane, like dropping out of the plane, to just like him wandering around and then eventually finding like the city or whatever. Like that whole scene is so cool. Like just the way that it's framed, just how long it takes. Just like you could feel like how just fatigued he is the whole time. The mansion scene's cool. The boat I like you said, I a lot. I like some of it. That's probably like the weakest part, just because it's a little difficult. Kind of slowed it down pacing wise, but I fucking love Uncharted 3. And then they kind of kept the mysticism to minimal, and I don't mind the mysticism. Like I think it is kind of essential to the series as it was part of it the whole time. But they kind of did it in a way that I really liked, with like how he's like fighting like mirages or whatever at the end. And they weren't as annoying as the Shambhala monkey things. So
It was basic.
Go ahead.
I was gonna say that it was basically like a scarecrow's gas from Batman Begins.
Yep, basically.
that they put in that game.
I hated those like mirage things in Uncharted 3 so much.
Really?
Okay. The monkey things I could deal with though. Like it wasn't that bad, but these guys just would come up and just fuck you up.
I feel like the environment was easier to navigate in 3 for you to fight them, because like they were annoying, but like they didn't give me nearly as much grief as the guys in 2. And I played these games like back to back to back. Like I'm really late to the series. Like I played them all leading up into 4 on PS3. So yeah, I kind of have the perspective of like all playing them like back to back to back instead of like when they came out. I'm sure I'd love 2 more if I played it when it came out, of course, as most do. So then my number 1, obviously what's left, is Uncharted 4. I adored Uncharted 4, despite like the narrative weirdness of introducing Sam. Like I know like they revealed in 3 that Drake isn't his real name. They had all of his like his parents' information and everything, but Sam wasn't in there for some reason. But no, I didn't mind Sam that much. I thought just the idea of him coming out for one last adventure was really cool. I loved seeing him like in like a normal life. Like you don't ever really see him like just like living as like in civilian life or in the other ones. I know he's like a thief and he's traveling the world, but it just felt weird that he was always out and like in these exotic locations. Like in 2, he's just like on a beach like at a just random bar. It's like I don't know. I really like seeing him out of his element and like trying to live a normal life, and coupling with learning that his brother's alive and all of these things, and then just the whole relationship between him and Elena, I thought was really well done, especially toward the end where they're trying to work out their relationship after he lied to her, and they're just like arguing in the middle of like this just crazy like just firefights and shit. Like we'll talk
So
about
good.
we'll talk about this later, and he's like, no, I'm not. Like crazy shit happens. He's like, no, we're talking about this now. Just I love that kind of stuff, and it's beautiful. The environments are great. The mechanics finally matched the presentation that Uncharted always had, so it was actually fun to play. Like the guns were fun to shoot. The ability to sneak around was great. I liked how it was open but not too open. Man, just I love Uncharted 4. Like the whole pirate scenario, the Rafe is cool. The whole pirate story is cool. And yeah, the ending was perfect. Like it felt like I love fan service when it's done well, and that whole game was fan service done well. Like you got moments with each of the characters. I wish, like I said, Chloe Cutter were in there at some point, but Nate got his due diligence. Sully was there most of the time. Luckily, him and his old relationship with Elena was good. Yeah, Nadine, she was good as a protagonist, nothing special. But yeah, no, I just really love Uncharted 4. I thought the end boss was cool. It didn't really take as many times as it seemed to have for many people, so I didn't really think it slowed down the pace at all. But yeah, no, I thought it was just an absolutely perfect send-off to the series, and it's really the only game I would give a 10 out of 10 to, even though I hate number scores.
Wow.
Terrible lists.
Any fighting words for anybody?
Fighting words.
Any opposition?
I mean, we all have our own opinions.
It's true. I'm just curious.
Not gonna go out and tear you up.
I feel like
I put Uncharted 4 at the bottom of my list.
Yeah.
But I just gotta, restate, like, it's not bad or anything.
Exactly. Like
no
even
matter
one.
how low we put these, they're still good games.
Absolutely.
You know what
Absolutely.
I'm saying? It's just by a little bit because, they're all great, but we all have our favorites.
Yeah, I thought they got better. I feel like they were really refining their craft as they went along. But I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully, eventually, many, many years from now, maybe we'll get, his daughter's story or whatever, but it won't be for a long time, hopefully.
What I really want is a standalone Sully game. I want to know what happened before Nathan Drake.
I was like,
what was he off doing?
Oh, he's fucking.
Exactly.
Victor Goddamn
I want,
Sullivan. That's what he's doing.
What I need to know.
I want a mature rated Sully game.
I'm so
That's
just
what
like
I wanted.
just drugs everywhere. Just
just lots of heroin, lots of cocaine,
heroin, lots
Set
of
in, like,
hookers.
the 80s.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
Lots of hookers.
That would be his mustache just in beautiful PS4 graphics. I want that so bad. That sounds fantastic.
I would love that so much.
A little bit of cocaine just hanging off his mustache.
A little bit of cocaine, and he's had some crazy adventures that he hasn't told anybody about. Like he was into some shit. That sounds fantastic. Even if he had like the same voice, it's like I came out of the womb talking like this.
Yeah, I mean, of course he did. I mean, his voice is fucking sexy, Like there's nothing else like it.
Yeah, no, that would be awesome.
Or have him like telling this story of the game to like Nate's daughter or something,
That'd be cool. Like
that would be great. Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you about the time I was with this hooker and did cocaine. What does that mean? What's a hooker?
What's a hooker?
Sully, shut up. What? She asked. No, but yeah, that sounds fantastic.
But I don't know if Naughty Dog would ever do that. I doubt it.
No, that'd never happen.
Probably not.
No, Naughty Dog.
They left off Uncharted 4 like with us wanting more Sully though.
Yeah, he was so good, but he's older. He's like significantly aging. I don't know.
Because he wasn't jumping around and shit.
No, he was waiting. He was waiting in the plane and whatever. And I like that.
Yeah, he was pretty much like the Otacon character.
I like that he had the plane.
Well, it's because they had to develop the dynamic between Nathan and Sam, so they couldn't just really.
That's true.
Throw Sully in there.
Yeah.
At least I
still love this character.
I'm glad he was in there as much as he was, especially like in the whole the heist with the auction. Like I love that scene so much.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Dude,
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole when he swings through the window and like gets down like by the table and like the gunfights, it's just the way that it cuts seamlessly. The firefights and gameplay and set pieces, like
So good.
4 just really knocked it out of the park. Even though there wasn't as much combat as the previous ones, which sucks because it had the best gunplay, so you wanted to fight more. But it's the pacing was just so good. I wish the other games had as many slow moments as 4 did. Because I feel like the other ones, they were kind of like they go, we're in this, things are happening. But 4 really, you got a lot of just downtime, and I really liked that. So we've kind of touched on them prior to where we're at now, but just kind of, what are your favorite set pieces from the series in general? Like, what is your top like action scene or scenes?
Well, I mean, obviously the train
Train,
and
yeah.
Uncharted
Train's
2,
awesome. Yeah.
from beginning to end, everything about that train.
Everything about the train, from its wheels to its cars.
To the bars
Seats.
that you're hanging off of.
Yeah,
It's everything.
They really use every piece of that train you're using in that game.
that's very true.
At some point, you're either on top of it or you're like climbing underneath it or whatever.
You're all over
Because
the
you climb
train.
on all sides. You climb on all sides of it. The inside, the
Yeah.
outside, front
You
side,
go
back side.
All over that train, all over it.
Just inside, just all up in that
Yep.
train.
Just down and dirty in the train.
Get down and dirty the train, boy.
the old train game.
Like
And blood.
and lots of blood. But yeah, like I mentioned before, I really enjoy the convoy chases. So the one in Uncharted 4, I don't want to say it's my favorite because the train's really cool, but I just, combined with how beautiful 4 was with the PS4 graphics, like it just felt so intense. Like like when he's being dragged through the mud and you're driving the Jeep and you're hopping from car to car and you're shooting and he crashes and he's like on the ground like pinned by the car and you're shooting outside guys. Like just the way that scene was directed, and you had like the when you're on the motorcycle and the Jeep's chasing after you with the machine gun, and just it was so expertly executed. I don't know if I can give it my number 1, but I just want to give some love to that scene in particular. Also, the one in 3 where you're on the horse and you're jumping from Jeep to Jeep. Like I really love those sequences.
Cool.
Yeah, just it very a very Last Crusade vibe from a lot of 3, which I appreciated.
Yeah, I was just gonna mention that part. Oh man, it was just so great. I was just being on a horse. It was sick. Like horses are cool animals, and then you finally get to ride one. Because I don't think prior you get to ride a horse
No, I don't think
until
so.
then. I mean, that's one of or Uncharted in general. You don't ride too many animals.
Yeah,
I mean, that and then the elephant are the only 2 animals I can think of.
that sounds
But,
right.
Unless if I'm wrong, but yeah, it was cool jumping.
You
just
ride a
switching it up.
kangaroo in one of them.
I don't remember that.
I love that. Unfortunately,
Okay,
no.
wrong game.
Uncharted Down Under.
that would be cool.
That'd be really weird and out of nowhere, but I'd be okay with it. That's the Cassie Drake.
It's a Sully adventure.
Or I was just say Cassie Drake in Australia, but no, I'd be down with Sully too.
hmm
Put Sully in more games.
Yeah, that's all I want. Because, oh man, just Sully in general, or even his actor. Let's just put him in more stuff.
I mean, he's in a lot of stuff, but he's fantastic though.
I've only seen him in like a episode of Scooby Doo and in Seinfeld. I don't know what else he's in.
He is more recently. He's in the Telltale Batman season 1.
You're right.
He plays
you're right.
Carmine Falcone. And I expected him to be way too likable because it's Sully, but no, he actually played a scumbag pretty well. So he's very talented. What is his name? I don't want to like just keep talking about him without having his name.
It's like Richard McGonagall or something like that.
That's Harry Potter.
No,
Oh.
Richard McGonagall. Sully, Uncharted actor. I know who he is. I just cannot think of it right now.
Yeah. I said it wrong.
Oh no,
yeah,
you're
you're
right.
right.
You're totally right.
Okay, I told you. I told you.
I'm sorry for downing you. I just, man, Tom Hanks looks like him
Oh man.
when he was in the movie Sully and he had the mustache. It's like that's Sully.
Yeah, he was actually playing this Sully.
Yeah. Little did he know.
Yeah.
He should have been playing this Sully, not that Sully.
After Uncharted 4, Sully became an airline pilot.
I mean, it makes sense because he flies planes all the time in Uncharted. So, you could say it's an Uncharted spin-off if you want to.
Now
I will.
Now I'm just looking at like casting for an Uncharted movie that I hope never happens. But Jason Statham is
Mark
Cutter.
Wahlberg.
Oh,
Please,
I can
God.
see that.
I mean, he's bald and has the accent. That's probably the only thing. He's got the
That's all he
look.
got.
He's got the look. I love Tom Holland.
I feel like he's not big enough.
Yeah, no, he's not big enough.
No.
He's big, but Cutter's like he's really
Yeah,
big.
he's fucking huge.
A little
You don't
impossibly
wanna
big.
mess
Yeah, you don't want to fuck with him.
Yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Richard McGonagall. He's fantastic.
Love that guy.
So we got convoy stuff. One, you got when you're on the boat and you're shooting, that's pretty cool. You got the boat in 3.
Like running towards the camera, and like
Yeah.
a vehicle's following you. Just in
Yeah.
general, because that happened like through each game.
The one in, I
And
like the one in 2.
Some of the slower moments in the Uncharted series are really good too. Like
Yeah, I wish
that
there were
part
more of them.
Like that part between Nate and Elena in 3 when they're kind of like just sitting there chilling, and it's just like a slow moment. I don't know what they talk about, but it was just nice to see them have some like quality couple time, even though you don't know what they are.
Yeah.
It was just a nice moment. And then the part in Uncharted 3 where you play as young Nathan Drake, like I was like, what the hell? You get to play as little Nate. That was fun. You get, it's pretty much introducing Sully's character. You go up and steal his wallet.
I love those
Yeah.
parts. The part in 4
That
too.
part-
Like I love all the young Nate stuff.
I like the young Nate part in Uncharted 4 was pretty much the Uncharted 3
When you're escaping,
part, but way better.
when you're running away from the nuns.
Oh, I love that part.
Oh, I forgot all
Sneaking
about
around
that.
the nuns and the priest. It was great.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Are there
those
any
parts are great.
are there any set pieces we're forgetting about? I feel like we covered the big ones.
Yeah, I feel like
I mean, we mentioned the boat earlier from 3.
Yeah.
I still like that's one of
Or just-
besides the train, like that's one I remember often, just doing all that stuff while the boat is tipping over and everything.
Yeah, it's very well done.
I like the part. Or I like the plane part in 3 when all the trucks and whatnot are flying out the back, and he's kind of trying to find his way back up to the plane, and like all this stuff is attached to it, just flying out in the middle of nowhere.
And you're shooting people like while shit is like falling apart.
yeah,
That's
it's like,
probably
this is so crazy.
that's probably my number 1, honestly. Like that scene
Or-
is so cool. Except it was spoiled
Uh-huh.
by Subway. Thanks, Subway. Fuck off.
oh yeah, fuck you, say well, Subway.
Thanks, Matt.
Thanks, Jared.
I don't think it was Jared specifically.
Is this before or after the scandal?
It was significantly before.
Okay.
Let's just blame everything on Jared. He's
Yeah.
no reason not to.
He's a good
Really?
scapegoat.
He is. I'll just blame it on him.
He spoiled
'Cause
Uncharted.
he's the most terrible person there at Subway.
God. I totally
Yeah.
lost my train of thought now. The plane sequence is cool. I like how GTA 5 tried to do that like exact same scene, but they didn't do it as well.
They did that part?
Yeah, basically,
Like,
yeah, like
the whole-
someone's in a train or in a plane and like stuff sliding out and you're shooting people. And then you have to like chase it.
Mhm.
Yeah, it was a cool scene. It just wasn't nearly as well directed as it was in Uncharted 3. And then yeah, the whole just while his like wandering in the desert, just God, it's so good. If we haven't missed anything,
That part, like, it made me thirsty.
oh
You know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah.
Like, I need some water
Yeah.
right now.
Just appreciate
from watching this.
appreciate water.
Yeah, because there's not a drop of water in sight, and I don't know if there's hallucinations in that game, but
There were some mirages,
Really?
I think.
okay, there was some mirages. Yeah, like Yeah, that part physically made me thirsty just playing it. It was weird. Never had an experience like that.
Just in general, like when I watch Western, sometimes I'm like, man, I could use some water right now. Just anything involving deserts, I'm like, nope. So,
Because every time they have their like canteen of water and it's always almost empty.
yeah.
Every Western ever kind
So
of doing it to themselves.
who are like the top characters, like aside from like Nate, obviously, like who are your favorite, what's your favorite like cast? Because they kind of all, there are some like characters that stay through the whole game, but through the whole series, but which game has like the favorite cast?
Oh,
I'd probably have to go with 3.
Yeah.
Did you
3,
say
you
3?
get Cutter.
Yeah, and then
You get
Marlo.
Chloe.
I really like Marlo as a villain.
Yeah. And then I like that part, where Marlo makes an homage that Nathan Drake's last name isn't Drake.
Yeah, and then we find out
Because
in
she's like, oh,
4.
yeah, like, hello, Drake, or if that really is your name or whatever. And then they expand on that in 4, but I liked how they kind of did that. I'm like, what? His last name is not really Drake? That kind of fucked me.
You could.
It's like, no.
She was just a really
Made me
good.
sad.
She was just a really good like love to hate character. Like it's like just evil old
Yeah.
lady.
I really want to strangle this evil old lady,
Yeah.
but not politically correct.
It's not political. She was evil.
Yeah, she was evil.
I'm sure it's fine.
I don't know. It's the whole female violence thing. I don't know. It's you can't hit a girl.
She had it. Oh,
No, that's cool. She doesn't she shoot you after the bar scene? Or have you?
can't remember. Well, she tries.
She
to have
has
him
you
killed.
yeah, she tries to have you killed. So I mean, at that point, yeah, go ahead and choke her out.
It's valid at that point.
Yeah, but at that point, you have permission to strangle her.
You have my permission to die.
I was waiting for that.
Yeah, I agree.
But
3 is
yeah.
pretty good because you get a lot of Sully, you get Cutter, Chloe comes back for a little bit.
Yeah.
You're gonna miss this ass.
I love how they start out with Cutter as you're thinking that he's
A
a
thug.
bad guy.
Yeah, he's like a thug.
Yeah,
'cause
just
that's what he looks like.
some random thug. Yeah, that's what he looks like, and then because you fight him right in that bar bathroom.
Yeah, and then he complains that he like actually hit him. He's like, I'm just trying to sell it or whatever.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I know Uncharted 2 gets a lot of hate, but
For
especially because
this
of
year.
Lazarevich. But whatever. I like the one dude that is in the beginning.
Oh, what's his name?
Yeah, I don't remember. And he like turns on you when you steal the little thing from the
Australian dude.
museum.
Yeah, I know you're talking about.
Yeah.
Harry
Don't
Flynn.
remember his
name.
Flynn.
But Flynn, yeah.
Yeah, Flynn. Yeah.
Well, oh, Flynn. Yeah.
Yeah, shout out
Hated
to
him.
Flynn.
He was great. He was great though.
Yeah, he was an asshole.
Yeah, he was definitely that weasel character that you would probably expect in an Uncharted type game,
Yeah.
about thieves. And it's called Among Thieves, so it kind of fits within that story. I think the cast was good for that story.
Yeah,
For the purpose of what they're trying to do.
He was with his, thief contemporaries for most of it.
Hmm. Yeah, and then you get
Mhm.
introduced to Chloe.
Things happen.
Things happen.
Yeah,
Elena isn't around for
that's
for a while.
true.
Yeah, they weren't.
She
really
doesn't show
together.
up for a while.
Their relationship is rocky to say the least. They're on and off.
Yeah, because Elena doesn't show up in that
Yeah,
game until Jeff
I'm
comes
so
around.
glad they defined it in 4.
Yeah, well, they were
Like,
together
that was
for a
one of the-
while. At that point,
That was one of the big things that like sold me on 4 just being the best was they finally because it was way more like grounded and matured storytelling.
Yeah,
Yeah, like he gives her the ring at the end of 3, right?
Yeah.
And then, even then, I was like, man, I don't know.
you don't think it's gonna
I
last?
don't know if it's gonna work out.
Yeah,
But it worked out. Uncharted 4.
I mean,
It
kind
was
of.
rocky, but
It-
they had
that was pretty central to 4's narrative, though. Is like he was willing to put his marriage on the line to get back in the life for this one last time.
Yeah.
and lied to
Yeah,
her.
because he lies to her, right?
Yeah, I was
He's
like,
"Oh,
what are you doing? Like, it's so stupid. She's smart
Yeah,
enough to find out.
you're tearing your marriage apart."
You'll tear
I
me
love that
apart.
because it's like that happened. That whole like emotional scene where she figures out that he's lying happens like after that huge like chase when you're like sliding through the mud and like jumping from jeep to jeep, and then you're just like, oh yeah, that was badass, and then all of a sudden, wham, just Elena is like in your face, and you're just like, wow.
They like open the door, and like she's like,
Yeah.
oh shit, like he's like more scared of that than anything that just happened.
Yeah.
Was like, was there ever a Malaysia job or whatever she said?
Yeah.
Man,
So good.
so good. You know, I liked how they kind of kept their relationship a little undefined for a while, because it made them going together at 4 even better.
Yeah.
I think.
That's why you need to
Crash
play the
Bandicoot.
first couple games before to get the full experience of number 4.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You have to know like all the characters and everything.
Like the
Yeah.
the stories aren't like incredible, but it's just the dynamics between the characters is what really makes it.
Yeah, if you don't know the relationship between Drake and Elena, and you just go into 4, like you're gonna think, man, this Elena character kind of a bitch. But you
That's
know, honestly, I'd be kind of pissed off too if I was her.
Oh yeah, no, she's totally valid. Totally valid.
It has that like same kind of feel as Skylar in Breaking Bad. Like you don't like
That's
her
true.
as a character, but she's right, because you know, I mean, Nathan Drake's not making meth or anything, but
That would be a twist. That would be interesting.
still like that kind of
I don't know. I think Nathan Drake's character is way more of an evil person than Walter White was. Because
yeah.
how many people did Nathan Drake kill? Just
Yeah, but it's
thousands and thousands.
It's pulpy. Like it's not supposed to. It's supposed to be very lighthearted. Like if they could have like gone with it and be like, you know, did you realize how many people you murdered, and like really like make it like subversive. But no, it's just that's just the tone that it has. Like those are just obstacles like climbing are. Like he's just mowing through people, but he doesn't really think about it, or it doesn't really affect him.
Yeah, it's different because it's a game. Where as like I think if they made that a movie, it'd be a different story. Well, I don't know. Even then, it would still just be pulpy action fun.
Yeah, it was like Indiana Jones
'Cause-
kills tons of people, but like
Yeah,
it
that's what I was
doesn't
thinking,
affect him like at
But they're
all.
Nazis.
That's true. That's
That's
true.
true.
And everybody hates Nazis, but I don't know. Still.
Mhm.
Let me think. You know, I still got to give probably the best cast of 3, but 2 is really good.
Yeah.
One probably the weakest. I mean, you get
That's true.
Sully, Elena, but like the antagonists weren't that interesting. And then 4 with
No,
Does anyone here really? Yeah, does anyone here really like care that much about Sam?
I like him, especially because his performance is so good. I feel like that adds to it. You could definitely tell that the writing in 4 was, Neil and Bruce as opposed to Amy. Like the tone.
Yep.
And it was noticeably different, but it still somehow felt like Uncharted. I really liked it. I liked how grounded it was. Like it was still like the pulpy action, but it was a little bit more grounded and a little bit, the stakes were a little bit more real. Like there wasn't any supernatural elements, but that I would have kind of been disappointed if there wasn't 4, because like the 4 was a very personal story for him. It kind of just would have been weird if it was like, oh, you go to the island and there's pirate ghosts or whatever. I don't know. I like Sam though. He's not my favorite character, but I don't dislike him as much as some do, if that makes sense.
To me, he's one of my favorite Uncharted characters. I mean, he's he played by Troy Baker. You got both of the voice acting gods in one video game. With Nolan North
Playing
It's like,
brothers too.
Playing brothers, yeah.
Yeah, and I just love that they have that really good chemistry. It seems like with their 2 characters.
Yeah, I feel like if they didn't know each other as well, and if like they weren't friends, and if they didn't have such good chemistry, I don't know if I'd like him as much. I feel like that was a big part of why I enjoyed his part in it, even though it was weird that he was introduced so late. But I kind of understand, like he didn't want to talk about that part of his life.
Mm-hmm. It was kind of weird, like all of a sudden here's his brother.
Yeah.
where did he come from? No mention of him at all in the past 3-4 games.
That's why it would have been
Just
made more sense if the original story came to fruition, where like he was like furious at him and he was the antagonist. But I don't know. I thought the whole him lying to Drake about the deal was kind of cool. It made me.
Yep.
It kind of justified him being there in a way. I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if that's what I would have done. I probably would have had him be more of an antagonist if I were to write it, but the way that they executed it, I thought it was good. But
Yeah, that was a good alternative. I love how at the end of 4, how Sully and Sam kind of exchanged some quips, like about going off and having adventures.
because Nate's
Oh,
done.
I want to see that happen though.
Nate's done, but Sam was in prison for who knows how long he wants to get in it. Yeah.
Just replace Nate with Sam.
Mhm.
Nobody can truly replace
I could
Nate.
see that happening. That would be fun.
I don't
Sam
know.
was a fun character.
Where was I thinking?
Okay.
Bottom line, we need more Sam.
Do we need more Sam?
More Uncharted.
I don't
Even
know
though
if we
I don't
do.
know if we'll get it.
I don't know if we do.
But I want.
I-
Do you want it or
I,
no?
I kind of just want it to exist as however we have it. Like we got Lost Legacy. It was great, but like I wouldn't mind more Uncharted, but I also kind of just want it to stay how it is for now, and wait
No,
a
this just
significant
makes
amount
me
of time.
sad.
And that's
It
good.
just makes
If
me sad
anything,
that
in,
there's
like-
an ending.
If anything, in like 5, 6, 7 years, maybe.
Dude,
But
just,
like for now, focus on Last of Us 2 and then go in a completely new direction and shit over everyone again.
just
Just
imagine
like wow everyone.
6, 7
like-
years from now, like 5. Let's say realistically, like 5 to 6 years from now, E3, you hear that music again and just fucking hype.
Oh my god.
Just imagine that.
Yeah.
That sounds awesome. Like
I don't
want.
think they would do that though.
I don't know. This is hypothetical, of course, but what do you think?
I could see them like maybe rebooting it.
no,
like in
that
5
would,
or 6
that would
years.
suck. Don't do that, Sony. Just
I know, but
let it
I could
exist.
kind of see that happening.
What do
But
you
I
think is
don't
gonna happen with it, Eli? You said you were gonna say something.
So I don't think they're gonna revisit it other than maybe like a remaster for PS5 or whatever. But if they even want to do that. But like I kind of see it as the same way they did the Jack series where, they did their 3 games and then never touched it again
Moved
because
on.
it was
That's it.
they ended it.
I mean, that'd be fine.
Yeah.
I'd be totally fine with that. Don't you? It's better to just get out while it's on top and while it's good, rather than
Yeah.
like Halo where it's just dragging on at this point.
Yeah, just
Yeah, I
milk
don't
it
see
until
Naughty
it's
Dog-
bone dry.
Yeah, I don't see Naughty Dog as that developer that will milk their series, even though they're like really good games. But I don't think they would.
I don't even
They
think
would keep doing that.
I don't think if it does come back, I don't even think it's going to be Naughty Dog necessarily. Like I feel like they would be moved on, but Sony might want to get some more out of the IP if anything else.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I don't think we'll ever see a Naughty Dog Uncharted game, but I think someone else could pick up the reins and have their shot at an Uncharted game.
That's the thing, they might
And
fuck up.
I think I think Sony would be down because they like money.
That
Yeah,
if anyone,
I don't know. It'd be
'cause
interesting to see.
I can't think of
Mhm.
anyone that could do a Naughty Dog game that isn't Naughty Dog.
Justice, yeah. They're so far above everyone else, mostly with like production value. Like they're the best of the best with
Yeah.
what they do.
Yeah, I just don't see who could take it over. I mean, there was Bend, and they did pretty good, I'd say, with Golden Abyss, but it's obviously not as good as an Uncharted game made by Naughty Dog.
Yeah, and they were using a lot of the same assets. Like if they were, if someone else was going to come in, down the road, and they'd have to like remake their own stuff and go it from the ground up,
hmm
it just wouldn't be there.
No.
I don't know, unless somebody somehow they get really talented, Ben gets another crack at it or something. I don't know. We'll see. But so I wanted to shift over to Uncharted. Often has a lot of like duo dynamics, like we mentioned Nadine and Chloe before. Like, what's your favorite like duo? Is it Nate and Sully? Is it Nate and Elena? Like, what are your favorites?
100% Nate and Sully.
Yeah,
Sully's
really?
my favorite character.
It's gotta be.
Period. I don't know if we're getting to that point if that was your plan, but if you are spoilers, Sully's my favorite.
Yeah, I'd probably have to go the same. Like Sully's great, but in 4 specifically, I really loved Nate and Elena's back and forth. I feel like that, like overall in the series, I think Nate and Sully, but specifically in one game, gotta give it to Nate and Elena.
I'm with you on that one, Noah.
Yeah,
Yep. Feel the exact same way.
they just the writing was
agree.
so good. Just the way that they just the whole their conversations were just so well done, and they weaved into
I
the
agree
action.
with Eli. Oh, okay. I was gonna say I agree with Eli. I just love Sully's character, and then you got that father and son duo. Like you get the experienced hard ass, and then you get the less experienced hard ass.
Yeah,
It's a good fucking time.
it's a great time.
I just love that dynamic. It's great, and they they his father's not around, so Sully's the next best thing, and
But
he does a really great job of it. And then Uncharted 3 when he's like, no, or he's like, you did a good job at stealing my wallet, but you could have done that better.
yeah, it's like
I
I'm
just
really
love that
I'm a really
dynamic.
bad example, but I'm all you got, and they work with it.
Hmm. Exactly. I'll do what I can. And then Uncharted Golden Abyss. Like I felt like that game didn't pick up until Sully's character came around.
Yeah,
It's like, oh, this is Uncharted. Before I was like, this kind of sucks.
I guess Nate
There's no
has a
song.
back now. Like
Yeah.
that's cool.
Since when did he get a backpack?
It's like, is this connecting to The Last of Us? Is this like the through line? I don't know. Yeah, no,
'Cause I don't
Sully's
remember.
fantastic. So basically, the theme for
Yeah.
this first love letter is Sully's fantastic.
Yep. We've pretty much been saying that the whole time.
Just
Say it
in,
many times.
just in different ways. All right, since we're pretty much in
Mhm.
consensus on that, any like final overall thoughts, like anything you haven't mentioned yet that you want to get out there about Uncharted, because it's going to be a while that we get another one or we don't get another one at all. So let's just put it all out there. Just have a memory for the series moving forward.
I guess
Amazing.
I'll just say,
Yeah, amazing.
yeah, it's amazing.
I was about to say more.
Oh, go ahead, go ahead.
Okay, amazing games that kind of redefined storytelling in video games, and characters, and just excited for the future of Naughty Dog in general and games.
That's for sure.
Damn right.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll say we kind of talked about story before. Maybe not the best stories in the world, but the writing and the characters they can't be beat. Like Naughty Dog from the beginning, with Crash and stuff, like they've been making memorable characters forever. And I think Uncharted is probably like, even though Last of Us has great characters and everyone will love Joel and Ellie forever, I don't know. I feel like the many characters and many dynamics that they've had in the Uncharted series are just top notch and can't be beat by anyone.
Yeah, especially in action adventure games.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah, because like I feel like RPGs are probably like the only genre that can come close in terms of storytelling. Like I'd say like my other favorite like cast in games is Mass Effect 2, and like just in terms of dynamics. But yeah, just the Nate and his surrounding cast are fantastic. Like I hope one day we get another series like this, linear, really character focused again. Because as we see like more and more games like becoming like services and like more focused on like the multiplayer and stuff, like I don't know, I just feel like we're gonna get less and less of these types of games as we go on, and that's really a shame because it was so good.
Yep.
Yeah, especially for a linear game, you get so into, and you fall in love with these characters that you're not really like having you're not spending like 100 hours with like you would in Mass Effect or like a Fallout or something, you know.
Yeah.
And you're not, it's not like you're making your own story. You're not doing all that. Here, like they give you the characters, they give you the story, and they have it all written out for you, and you know you still fall in love anyway, even though it's not like your own personal story. It's still an amazing story and amazing characters.
Yeah, here is our story. We're going to tell it how we want. And I love like games where like, yeah, you make your own story and like you know become attached to characters around you, but there's something special about just a well-crafted, well-written linear game that I hope we get more of in the future. I just don't see it happening. Like you get more and more like Destiny. I love Destiny, but like Anthem's coming out, like all these like games of services. I'm just like I hope there will always be a place for the single player action adventure game. I don't know.
Yeah, I love the Uncharted series. You know, I was told my story about how I got into it, and I don't know, it's a fucking great series. It has great characters, and I got my first ever platinum in Uncharted 3. I'll never forget that. You know, it's
Never
going through
forget
that game. I was like, I love this fucking game to all heck, and I'm gonna get the platinum. I've never done this before, but I'm gonna do it. I'm glad I did because that game was so great, and it you know the
That's
Uncharted
true
series
love.
is one of my favorite game series of all time, and it'll never change. It's so great.
Damn right.
So yeah,
All
those are my
right.
final thoughts.
Fantastic.
Last word. Shout out to Uncharted multiplayer.
Oh yeah,
They
we
didn't need to do it.
didn't even talk about
They didn't
that.
need to do it
Yes.
at all. But it's
It's fun.
amazing.
I
I spent way too many hours playing Uncharted 2 multiplayer.
the
I
only
did it.
one I really played significantly was 3, and it was fun. I just again like I got into the series late, so kind of like the ship had sailed by the time I got to them. But yeah, no, they're fun. It really wasn't necessary, but it found its audience and it's a lot of fun. I prefer The Last of Us multiplayer, but that of course came later. Yeah, no, shout out to it was a good multiplayer. That's how you do attacks on multiplayer correctly, I think.
Yeah, no one's really given Naughty Dog all the props they deserve for their multiplayer, in my opinion.
Yeah, but that's also never why I would buy one of these games, if that makes sense. Like I'm glad it's there and it's good, but it's not something I'm gonna like want. Like even if The Last of Us 2 didn't have multiplayer, like I probably wouldn't mind, even though the first one is so good, and it will, of course. But no, they did it well. They did it right. Well, in that
Yeah.
case, if there is nothing else,
Nope, nothing else.
this has been the first episode of Gridlife Love Letters. Thank you so much for listening. That was kind of fun. I hope we do some more later. It's just hard. It's going to be hard to find something that like multiple people like love so much, because this is kind of like a shared passion that we have. So hopefully we can figure out more things we can kind of deep dive into like this. So if you like that, give us a like on the YouTube video. Subscribe to all of our services, Google Play, iTunes, all of that. Give us reviews. Tell us what we can do better. Thank you so much for listening. This was a lot of fun, guys. I hope we can do it again sometime.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Play
Do it
something
again sometime.
again.
Yeah, go
Hell yeah.
replay Uncharted.
Yeah, let's
Yeah.
replay Uncharted.
All right.
I want to go replay them all. But yep.
All right, we'll see you
I'll get
guys
that collection.
on the next Gridlife Love Letters. Thank you very much.